Hey everyone, it's Gina and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you the eye makeup that I'm going to be wearing for my wedding coming up very soon, and I'm going to be sharing tons of tips on how to apply eye makeup for hooded eyes. I don't have that bad of hooded eyes like a lot of people that you might see these videos do, but I still know a lot of tips and tricks and stuff that I want to share with you. And I do have lids that sit a little bit farther back to where, you know, the upper area sits over. So if you're not familiar with hooded eyes, it's basically where, you know, your upper lid, like on your brow bone, sits over top your lid on your eye a little bit more to where you can't necessarily see it very easily. So I know lots of different tips and stuff that I'll be sharing with you to help just make everything look more awake and look very pretty and stuff for your wedding. Even if you're not getting married, I hope you still enjoy this look. It's a really nice rose gold look. Also, if you have not already seen part one of this video, I will link it for you down below as well as up in the cards. But I did do a part one on the face makeup. It's using all drugstore products, and I share with you lots of tips on how to look good in photography, especially if you have combination or oily skin, and avoid looking cakey and still having that natural look. So I'll put that video down below, so make sure you check that out as well for the full look. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna skip over brows, but if you haven't already seen my brow routine video, I will link it for you down below, but I share how to get like a really natural feathered brow look. So that's basically what I did, but the only addition that I did that I will show you here is I did apply this e.l.f. Active eyebrow gel, and I just applied that to my brows just to make sure everything stays in place because it's a really strong hold brow gel. So before applying eyeshadow, I always like to use an eye primer. This one is by Urban Decay. This is my favorite eyeshadow primer. It never lets me down. If you don't have one, you can try using concealer on your lid and then some powder, but I highly recommend an eyelid primer, especially for today's look, because I'm gonna be using some shimmery shadows that tend to crease. So for this look, I wanted to use the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. Now, I do know some drugstore options, so I will list those out on the blog post that goes with this video. That's where I list out all the products that I use, so I'll put some other suggestions if you don't want to get this one, because I know it's obviously pricey. I've had this for so long, and it's always been one of my go-tos, and since I wanted to do a rose gold look, this has a ton of rose gold shades in it. So the first thing I would recommend with having hooded eyes is to actually draw out your crease, because it's a lot harder to see your crease if it's a lot more sunken in your eye. So just having that guide and starting with the crease color first always tends to help me. So what I'm gonna do first is take a Sigma pencil brush. So a pencil brush is a lot more dense and it's a lot smaller too, so it's great if you have small lids and not a lot of crease area. So the shade that I'm gonna use in the crease is called Lemon, which is a really pale rose mauve color. This is really natural. It doesn't come across as too pink or anything like that either, which is great because a lot of times pink shadow can just make your eyes look tired. So I think this is a great option for the crease if you want something very light and natural. And I always recommend kind of starting with lighter shades and then building it up darker versus trying to tone down darker shades. So I'm going to hold that pencil brush on the end of the brush, which really helps to give you a lighter application and helps you get right into the eye. So you want to look straight into your mirror instead of like leaning your head back or leaning your head down. If you look straight, you can actually see where your natural crease is, and you want to place the brush just a little bit over that natural crease. So we're going to actually create sort of like a fake crease, or just emphasize the upper crease area to where you're creating more depth up a little bit higher. If you have a very large brow bone area, you're kind of toning that down a little bit, so you're pretty much drawing that crease color right on top of your natural crease. You don't want to angle your brush downward or upward or anything. You want it to just go straight. By holding my brush in this angle, it helps give me a lot more control, and I'm just gradually working it back and forth. You can kind of do like windshield wiper motions. You can pick up more product if you need it, but I do recommend starting a lot smaller. And by keeping your eyes open and looking straight into the mirror, you can actually see how it's going to look, because I know a lot of times with hooded eyes, you might close your eyes to apply your shadow and then you open them and it looks totally different than what you were thinking. So just having that angle already in place as you're applying your shadow really makes a big difference. One important thing to note is when choosing a crease color, I definitely recommend going with a matte shade, and I recommend going with something that's a little bit lighter, not anything too dark. You don't want to go in with like a dark chocolate brown or a black. It's just going to be too intense, but I definitely recommend doing a matte shade for the crease. Another thing you can do is take a Sigma tapered blending brush. This one actually has a pin shape to it, so it's a little bit smaller. It's not going to over blend or anything, and you can dip it in like the Limit shade, or even in the shade called Nooner, which is the same type of matte shade but just a little bit darker. And you can go back over that crease if you want to deepen it up a little bit. This can also help blend it out because you don't want to have an obvious line there. You want it to be very blended. And another thing I would note is I like to kind of keep the cat eye shape to where it's going towards my brow and out versus coming down. That's just gonna help keep the eyes a little bit more open. If you start to drag it too far down, it makes more of that droopy effect. So I would recommend keeping like the cat eye, like the outer V shape, a little bit higher than you would on regular shaped eyes. So now I'm gonna apply the lid color, and I'm actually keeping this look very minimal because I don't want it to be too dramatic for my wedding. But I am gonna wet the brush first. This is a Sigma flat brush, and this is actually a synthetic hair brush. I'm going to take the Pixie Makeup Fixing Mist, and if you don't have this, you can just use water. But I find that it helps to spray this directly onto a washcloth and like put your brush in it, or put your brush on the cloth and then spray right on the tip of the brush and just kind of wipe it back and forth. And then I'm gonna go in with the shade called Dust in here, and this is a really pretty foiled rose gold color, but it's not too dramatic. It's not gonna look like you have on glitter shadow. I feel like it's still pretty subtle. And by wetting the brush first, that allows me to pick up these foiled type of shadows and just pack on the color a lot better. If you were to use it dry, it just goes on a little bit more subtle and you get just, you know, a tiny bit of shimmer, but this just makes it a little bit more intense. And it also helps prevent fallout too. So you do want to tap off your brush before doing this. I am holding a washcloth under my eyes. That's to prevent fallout. I like doing my foundation and stuff first. It's just more natural feeling to me. But you could do your under eye concealer and powder and stuff after your eyeshadow if you're worried about fallout. But I think just holding a washcloth over top really helps. And if you have powder on under your eyes too, you can usually just brush away any fallout that you get. Another tip with hooded eyes is you want to keep the lighter colors on the lid, because anytime you're using shimmery colors or lighter colors, that's gonna help bring your eyes forward. And then when you're using darker colors, that's gonna bring those areas more back. So that's why we do the darker colors in the crease and the lighter shimmery shadows on the lid to help bring it forward and really just enhance that shape. And especially when your lid might get covered up very easily, you know, by your brow bone and it's hard to see, by using that shimmery color, it really helps put a nice sparkle to where it stands out a little bit more, especially when you close your eyes. It can look so pretty when you can see it. So it's still with holding the washcloth under my eye to prevent fallout. I'm going back in with the pencil brush and just blending that over a little bit because I want to make sure that that is still showing up and I don't want it to be taken away or more diffused with adding that lid color over top. So now for the brow bone highlight, I'm just going to take a regular fluffy blending brush and I'm picking up the shade called Strange, which is a really light skin tone ivory color, and just going all over my brow bone. I think that this makes such a difference. It really helps to lift your brow, helps your eyes look more awake, and also helps just make everything blend a little bit better versus having no shadow on that area and then shadow on the rest of your lid. I think it just blends everything a little bit better. And if you did apply too much crease color, this is a great way to kind of tone it down and just blend everything together. So now I'm gonna take the pencil brush and pick up the same shade that we used in the crease, or you can also go a little bit darker, like I said, with Nooner, and just apply that to the lower lash line. This helps tie everything in. I think this step is critical at just making everything a little bit more balanced, especially with having, you know, heavier colors up on top. You don't want it to look too top heavy, so I definitely recommend taking your shadow down onto your lower lash line, but you want to keep it on the outer corner, especially if you have smaller eyes like me. I don't like to take it too far in because it can really just close off your eyes. So I would recommend going about 3/4 of the way in and just blending from that upper corner too, and just kind of ties everything together. So now we're finally ready to move on to eyeliner. And for bridal makeup, I highly recommend using a pencil liner. My favorite ones are from Urban Decay. I didn't realize I had all this Urban Decay makeup in this video, but they really are one of my favorites. This is a 24/7 Glide On Pencil in Roach. This is a medium brown shade. It does have a little bit of shimmer, but that doesn't necessarily come across on your eyes. And for hooded eyes, I definitely recommend keeping the line very thin and keeping it very close to your lashes. So I'm just going straight in with the pencil and just creating a very light line. This doesn't have to be perfect. You're not drawing a full-on winged liner. You're just kind of shading in between your lashes with this. I'm also going to take it onto the lower lash line, and again, same with the shadow. You don't want to take it too far to the inner corner because you want your eyes to still look open and awake. I did take it in on the inner corner a little bit on the upper lash line, but I kept the line within the lash line, almost on the tight line area versus on top, because that can be too heavy sometimes for the lid. So that's another tip for hooded eyes, is definitely don't apply your inner eyeliner on top of your lid. Just kind of smudge it between your lashes instead, because then you're just taking away more of that lid space with the liner. And then I did want to create a slight wing. It just helps for my eye shape that are kind of like small almond shape to just make them look a little bit bigger. So for that, I just placed the pencil right in the corner And I angle the wing up towards my brow, so I just kind of flick it up a little bit. Again, I'm not like drawing a full-on wing like you would with gel or liquid liner. I'm just kind of creating that shade there. And we're gonna blend it out and everything too, so don't worry if this is not perfect. So now I'm gonna take a Sigma flat definer brush, and this brush has definitely been one of my favorites for a long time, and it's excellent for smudging out liner. You can even use it to apply liner. If you wanna use shadow as your eyeliner, you can dip it right in your shadow and use that if you don't have a pencil liner. It's just super soft and it's great for bridal makeup because it's not overkill or anything. So I just place that brush right on top of my lash line and just kind of wiggle it back and forth, and this just helps to blend that liner right into your skin. It also blends it down into your lashes, makes your lashes look a lot thicker. And for the wing, you can just place it right in the corner and just kind of flick it up a little bit towards your brow, and this just helps kind of extend it. It just cleans up the line. It just gives you that sharper line because it's hard sometimes with pencil to get a sharp wing, but this definitely helps. So next I'm gonna take the same eyeliner, but this one is in 0. It's just a dark black color, and I'm gonna line my tight line with this. And the reason I'm doing this is because I am gonna be applying some magnetic false lashes, so this really helps to blend those lashes in a little bit better, because sometimes when you use brown liner, the lashes are black, so it doesn't necessarily blend. So I did just kind of smudge this in between my upper lashes. I didn't create an actual line or anything, I just kind of lined my tight line, and you can see the difference that it makes. So now we're finally ready to curl our lashes. I don't normally curl my lashes on a daily basis, but I do recommend curling them for a special occasion, and especially when you're gonna use lashes, because it just helps everything blend a little bit better. For my mascara, I'm using my Maybelline Lash Sensational, which is my all-time favorite, so I had to use it, of course, for my wedding day. It's just so natural looking on me. It doesn't clump up or anything, and it gives me great length and volume. And I did do 2 coats of this, but for the second coat, I really focused it just on the tips of the lashes. And I ended up applying a little bit more to the inner corner, and that's because I'm going to be using half lashes, which don't go all the way to the inner corner. So I do want to have a little bit heavier mascara on that inner corner just to blend a little bit better with those half lashes. Because if you're gonna use, you know, the outer accent lashes, you don't want it to be obvious that you just have lashes on the outer corner and not dark enough on the inside. So I have tried so many magnetic lashes. I know the Ardell ones are really popular, but I actually like these better. These are from Eyeliner, and I found these at Ulta, but these are half lashes. I don't have the style name on me right here, but I'll be sure to list out all these products on the blog post. But these are just really easy to apply. They only have 1 magnet on them, and they're just so much easier than using glue. I cannot stand glue strip lashes. They're so hard to apply, and I feel like on your wedding day, you don't want to have to be worrying about them falling off or the glue coming undone. So if you haven't seen magnetic lashes before, it's essentially 2 pieces that clamp together over your natural lashes. So you first set the top one down. You have to make sure you're using the right one because they're unique to each eye. So you put the top one down, and I like to kind of angle it downwards a little bit versus like having it sit on my lid, because you don't want to pinch your lid. So I definitely recommend trying to set the strip right on top of your lashes and kind of angle it down. And then for the lower piece, you just go straight in and it will just snap right together. This is the part that's tricky sometimes because it will tend to snap pretty quickly. So you want to make sure when you're going in that top one is positioned exactly how you want it. And the thing that I also learned with these and with any magnetic lashes is the secret to them being more comfortable is not placing them too close to the root. When they're too close to the root, you can feel them on your eyes, but when they're a little bit farther off, you don't want it to be obvious though, so you obviously don't want to go too far from your root, but you do want to keep it a little bit off your root just to keep it more comfortable to wear. But then I just kind of take a spoolie and just shape my natural lashes and make sure everything is blended. And I like how these lashes are tapered, so it looks a lot more natural. So that is it for the eyes. Hopefully that was helpful. If you still want more tips and stuff for hooded eyes, I would definitely check out that other tutorial that I did. I think I did a smoky eye for hooded eyes as well as a really easy, natural, everyday look. So I'll put both those videos down below. And if you have any tips for hooded eyes, definitely leave them in the comments so that way everyone else can see. And if you haven't already seen part 1 of this video, that's also linked down below, and that is the face makeup that I'm doing for the wedding. And if you're getting married, congratulations and good luck on your makeup. I'm sure everything's gonna turn out beautiful, so don't stress about it too much. And if you're on a budget like me, you're doing it yourself, so more props to you. I'm sure everything is gonna turn out just fine. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you in next week's video. Bye everyone.